Thank you, Alelo. So we have as our first guest Brigadier General Moses Kaoiwi Jr., who serves as the Joint Task Force Commander. Welcome, General Kaoiwi.
Aloha, everybody, and happy to be here, and thank you for having me so that I can answer all the questions that some people may have concerning the Hawaii National Guard involvement in our state response to COVID-19.
Thank you, General. You know, when this all started, as I understand it, around March 25th, 100 National Guardsmen were activated, but more recently, we've had more Guardsmen activated. So can you just share with our viewers, what is the role of the Hawaii National Guard in assisting Hawaii through this public health pandemic?
Yes, so the Hawaii National Guard has been the response element when a natural disaster occurs or any type of incident where you need that extra support to the counties to respond to any type of emergency that goes beyond the capacity of what the counties can provide for themselves. So that's a tool that the governor can use to assist. In this case, with COVID-19, because of the widespread virus across the state, we've activated our National Guard to assist the county mayors in that response. And we'll assist them in many things, such as for the state, especially with the screening at the airports, as you see out there, and what you just saw on the little clip that was just provided. We also have liaison officer support. In other words, personnel from the National Guard working with the counties in the emergency management agencies, as well as civil defense in Hawaii County, to assist them in the requests that they have for any type of other type of support, such as security and other type of items that the National Guard may be able to support with.
So this is so unusual because we've seen the National Guard activated in times of physical hurricanes, the volcanic disruptions, but this is something really different. Can you tell us a little bit about how the Guard is being trained to do these things? Because I know that they're doing an excellent job, but this is just a little bit different than what we typically expect of the National Guard.
Yes, this is something that is not necessarily new, but something that we're not normally called out for. So for example, we have medical units inside our National Guard. Specifically, we have the 154th Medical Detachment that we used for civil support. Normally, they would come out during a disaster to help with the triage and any type of other medical issues that might occur. So they're helping us train to understand how to do many of the tasks that might be called upon, such as the contact tracing or even the swabbing. But we also need help from Department of Health as well as the counties on specific activities that pertains to them. And so we're working with the counties as well as Department of Health to ensure that our soldiers and airmen are well trained to respond.
So this truly is a team effort between the National Guard, the counties, and the state. Can you tell us, how is the National Guard being funded for all of these important duties that they're doing?
Well, recently, the president allowed for the use of what we call Title 32 502F federal funding. That allows the National Guard to use federal funding under that statute, but still allow the governors to be in control. So across the nation, you'll find that all National Guard units are using this funding to assist their own states under the control of the governor to respond in whatever method necessary to assist in alleviating this COVID-19 virus.
So that's really important because as we look at state revenues dropping, the fact that the federal government is coming to assist with our National Guardsmen so that they don't have to worry about pay is very important. Correct, General?
Yes, the Title 32 federal funding does help a lot. It will alleviate the state from certain expenses.
So, you know, there are a lot of people out there concerned about what is the relationship between the National Guard, the counties, but I really want to emphasize that it's a collaborative effort. And you folks are really only activated if the counties ask for your help. Is that true?
Normally, that's the case. We're not going to come in on our own. it'll be based off of the need. So it starts at the local level. All disasters start at the local level. We're at the bottom, where the rubber meets the road. So when the counties have a disaster or an emergency such as this, they request for assistance through the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency in a process called the request for assistance process. That requests for assistance originate at the county level in a system called Web EOC, and it's a tracking database system for all to see. So we all have the common operating picture, so to speak, of where the requests are. It's a collaborative tool that allows us to see what the requests are. It comes up to our area, we see it, and we ask questions and get more fidelity on what the real request is, and the support that's needed to execute that request. So you can say it's from the county to the state. The state then goes through their in the Emergency Management Agency goes through their emergency support functions, in which the Hawaii National Guard plays a big part of as Emergency Support Function 20. And we sit there and we collaborate with the counties as well as with the state on what type of support will be needed. Some support may not be needed by the National Guard. For example, some transportation support, security, medical services. We all share in the burden, so to speak, and we don't want to take over somebody else's job when they, by all means, have the means to execute that job. But we're there just to ensure that should there be a gap in emergency services, we can come in and provide that or alleviate that gap.
So what this does is it actually allows for there to be county-specific responses. I mean, I know we see on Molokai something happening very differently than what's happening on Hawaii Island. Can you talk about some of those differences for our statewide viewers here today?
Yeah, so when you look across the state, different types of requests are in. You got the common request, which is airport screening, and that's all throughout the whole state. But for example, when you're looking at Kaoiwi, for example, they got the mayor has different needs based off of his security needs to assist in preventing social gatherings at parks and as such. So he's asked the Hawaii National Guard to do some of the security type missions that prevent people from entering the parks, as well as assisting the law enforcement personnel to do some type of roving patrol or any type of other activities. Now, if with that kind of operations, we will not act alone. We'll always be in support of law enforcement. They take the lead, and we're only supporting. We do not take over or execute any type of law enforcement in that situation.
I think that's really good to reassure the public that it is a coordinated effort. I also know that, like in Hana, you folks are helping and assisting with some of the traffic checkpoints. Is that true?
Yes. So depends on what Mayor Victorino needs concerning the specific Maui requirements he has, especially with Hana, because it's an area that's isolated right now and it's far to reach. He has designated one of those areas as a checkpoint for National Guard to assist in.
So just going back to what you were saying about the communication, I know some folks are frustrated and they want the National Guard to be here or to be there, but it truly is a communicative, coordinated effort, and it's coming up from the counties, and so that we know where the response needs are, and isn't that a really critical piece of the National Guard, the communication and the coordination?
Yes, we ensure that we are not getting ahead of ourselves. We make sure that the county is in the lead, they are in charge, and we are supporting their efforts in the response. So going back to the earlier question about communication coordination, like I said, we have our liaison officers at the county level, and the requests stem from there, and we coordinate and work with them first before we actually execute any type of mission or activity.
So I want to remind our viewers, if you want, you can log in your questions into the Facebook Live at Olelo at facebook.com/Olelo community. We're happy to take some questions for General Kaoiwi, but as we continue, so General, yesterday, Mayor Caldwell announced the extension of stay-at-home orders on the island of Oahu, city and county of Honolulu. Again, something a little different, but I expect that we'll see other extensions as well. As we go longer into stay-at-home orders, is the National Guard ready to step up and do other things it may be tasked with?
Yes. So depending on what the county needs, we'll be able to assist. We have, like I said earlier, and you've seen the news reports, we have 1,200 National Guardsmen across the state. Each island have appointed a task force commander, and those task force commanders are working directly with the mayors as well as the emergency management agencies and the liaison officers, like I spoke about. So there's a constant communication to ensure that we are supporting the county. We're not in charge. We're not the leads, and we build relationships among the first responders in that manner, so we can understand what is really the role of the National Guard in relation to the need that's on the ground.
Thank you. You know, we have our first question, and I want to acknowledge it. Thank you, Cookie Akau Gasper. And she actually asked a question, General Kaoiwi, that I will field. The question is, why can't we use federal funds for land for farming, supporting mom and pop stores? I really want to make it clear to the community and our viewers out there, there's lots of different federal funding lines coming down. The National Guard has access to Title 32 funds as well as some FEMA funds. We know, maybe General can comment on that. But there's lots and lots of other funds that we are monitoring as a state legislature, and that the executive, the governor, is really looking at and monitoring to deploy in the places that we will need them. For example, in farming, in supporting businesses. We know that there is a tranche of federal funds that are coming down for unemployment claims. General Kaoiwi, do you want to weigh in on some of the FEMA funds that are coming in to also support your efforts?
Yeah, so all of our efforts are designed to execute. So like the FEMA funding is tied in with what we have, the Title 32 funding that I mentioned. So FEMA will be tied into this Title 32 funding, and we're executing with the pay and allowances for our soldiers. Just to go back on the overall federal funding process, when Congress passes the budget, it really specifically allows you to spend money in certain, like you said, tranches. And so for us in the National Guard, we have a certain amount that we can execute and so forth. So in this case, they've allowed us to spend money for the response, and that's why it's coming under Title 32 under the federal funding.
And it's incredible amounts of money. And I know with the FEMA funding for our viewers, there is a bit of a state match. So again, this is a coordinated effort between the executive, who's really on point, but also your legislative leaders who are constantly monitoring what's coming in. And for example, today we know that another bill has been passed that will likely bring in more funding to the state. So it's something that we're all looking at, right, General Kaoiwi?
Yes. So all the expenses across the state will be, from an emergency management standpoint, be looked at from a FEMA reimbursement process through public assistance. But, you know, Hawaii Emergency Management Agency would be better able to explain the process concerning that.
Sure, and maybe that's someone we can have on for our next talk story with House Majority. General, is there anything specific that you'd like to add about maybe what some of the future missions might be for the National Guard as we move forward? I know you said it's dependent upon what the counties need, but is there anything in the way of public health that you think that we might be seeing the National Guardsmen more engaged in as we move forward?
So we're doing like I mentioned earlier a little bit, the contact tracing and swabbing. We're there to assist if needed. We're preparing teams to assist Department of Health with the swabbing, and we're waiting on Department of Health to provide us more guidance on how they want to execute that. And also, I have a task force medical unit comprised of medical personnel in the National Guard that is not engaged outside in their civilian jobs in the medical field. So we make it a point to ensure that we're not taking from the counties or the state employees to respond. And so we're responding with our medical, and they're waiting to assist in any type of medical issues that they may be needed to address.
I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, General. So I know you guys don't like to get ahead of yourselves, but I just know that, as we all look forward, there's going to be so much more that the National Guard is going to be doing. And we really, really, really just appreciate it. It is such a coordinated effort. I think I'm getting the signal that we might be moving into our next segment. So I just wanted to leave you. I don't see any other questions coming in from our Facebook feed. I just wanted to leave you, General, with the opportunity. Any final thoughts you would like to leave for the public as a Joint Task Force commander?
So just to remind the public that we are from Hawaii, we come from Hawaii. All our National Guard personnel, you're going to look across the spectrum of our population, and we are, like I mentioned earlier in many other cases, we are the sons and daughters of Hawaii. We're the cousins, we're the aunties, we're the uncles. We're that, your neighbor, we're there. We joined to help Hawaii, and our heart and soul is in making sure that we are volunteering to assist and get our state into a better place than it is now. So when you see them out there, just know that it's someone you probably know, or someone that you know knows a National Guardsman, or is a relative of a National Guardsman. So, and we thank the public for all their support and the efforts and the appreciation they show us.
Thank you, General. Thank you for joining us, and we would love to have you back again some other time.
You're welcome.